Have you ever met that one special person who has given you a new perspective on life and all that comes with it? Well, for me, that person's name was Steven. Steven's energy was radiant and could light up a room just by stepping foot in it. His smile was contagious and could make anyone's bad day into a good day. Steven was born with Down syndrome, but that did not stop him from anything. What is Down syndrome? According to ndss.org, Down syndrome occurs when an individual was born with a copy of chromosome 21. This causes there to be a different course of development and unique characteristics within Down syndrome. Some of the characteristics that are displayed physically are upward slanted eyes, a small stature, a crease across the palm, and low muscle tone. This varies among individuals with Down syndrome. The likelihood of having a child with Down syndrome increases as the mother gets older. Around the age of 35 years old, there is about 1 in 350 chance that one will have a child with Down syndrome. 5 years later, at the age of 40, it increases gradually to 1 in 100 chance that she will have a child with Down syndrome. I also looked into what it's like for families to have a member with Down syndrome. And as downsyndrome.org stated, that findings show that normally the majority of families with children with Down syndrome lead ordinary lives. With that, we obviously know that there are other demands that need to be followed, whether it is behaviors or doctor visits. But at least 65 to 70% of families find the resources to meet their needs and lead happy, ordinary lives. Parents find it helpful to research about the disabilities to help cope with the future situations. There are also some evidence that aging parents who have adults with Down syndrome still living at home have better physical health and life satisfaction than aging adults in typical population. But we also have to see the negative side of things. With that 65 to 70% of families that are happy, there are also the 30 to 35% of families remaining that have a hard time. It's stated that within these families, the child with Down syndrome and the siblings of that child are more likely to show behavior difficulties. I sometimes notice these in Steven. In middle school, a friend of mine and I were asked to play and watch Steven for a period during school. We would play games and share stories together, but there are times where Steven would throw tantrums just like any other child would. But his tantrums would last longer than normal. Aside from the tantrums, Steven knew how to have fun and engage in the games that we were playing. Downsyndrome.org also said that for children and adults with Down syndrome, social understanding is usually a strength that begins in infancy. They know how to have great social interaction with others. Steven always had a ton of friends who loved to talk to him specifically. He would mess around with them and find ways to make them laugh as well. He was always a big jokester. As long as he felt safe and comfortable, he was willing to be outgoing. It is so important to know that children with Down syndrome are all individuals of their own. They all differ widely in their own social skills, communication abilities, and understanding. Like any other child, social development of infants and children with Down syndrome will be influenced by their temperament, family experiences, school, and community, and by the way they are treated by others. When talking about people with Down syndrome, I strongly take Steven into consideration. He has all the features of a young adult who has Down syndrome. But on the inside, he has a big heart with an amazing personality. Steven would not want people to look at him differently. His social interactions are as average as anyone else. He has a family that loves him and friends that love him as well. People with Down syndrome may have an extra chromosome, but they also live a happy and ordinary life and have a great future ahead of them.